So Netflix has recently acquired Warner Brothers for an approximate value of $82.7 billion. And if you too are struggling to imagine what this number means, think this way. If you were to be earning 10,000 hours every hour for the rest of your life, it would take you around like 950 years for you to accumulate that much money. And while most companies try to avoid costs towards the end of fiscal year in order to please the stakeholders with whatever little bit of more profit they can make, and firing people is usually number one on the list, trust me, I'd know. Netflix didn't care for the fiscal year shenanigans and straight up bought out a huge movie studio that was established in 1923, 54 years before Netflix, which is so much stranger than anything that ever happens in Stranger Things. Why has this show been playing on repeat the same stories over and over again for the last 5 seasons? But hey, this buyout totally explains why they decided to give us Stranger Things in 2 parts instead of dumping it all at once, right? Yeah, to keep memberships for another month at least. Okay, but you know what this really means, this entire buyout situation, is that HBO Max, or was it HBO again? Cartoon Network, DC Universe movies, Harry Potter, and a lot of other big shows and movies belong to Netflix now. Even the Conjuring Universe. And I, for one, have very mixed feelings about this, and I know that online people are very upset. In fact, most people are acting like it's all doom and gloom, which, if I'm being honest, they might just be right. As a fan of film and TV shows, I say great, we get to have more movies and TV shows, right? But also as a fan of money, I don't like this. No. But let's talk about the good first, and then we'll talk about the bad, and then maybe we'll talk about the very, very bad. And that's really dark, so be prepared for that one. But before Netflix decides to buy out my channel too for probably like $1, I would really appreciate if you can subscribe to the channel and like the video. You know, just to stand up to the big guys. Your support is forever appreciated. So the good. We could get Harry Potter on Netflix. Not that you haven't seen it like 20 times already, but still, the possibility to have more movies available for immediate streaming. And of course, having access to another network's contents like Penguin, IT Welcome to Derry. Wait, it's Welcome to Derry? Not IT. I thought the show was based on an IT employee who had one too many ServiceNow tickets and then turned into this evil clown to take down big corporations. No? I'm just projecting being fired on a horror show? Okay. Alright, sorry then. Welcome to Derry. But hey, for those who still haven't seen The Wire like myself, maybe now we can finally get around to watching it? So yeah, we pay Netflix instead of HBO and Netflix and have so much more to choose from. Which brings us to the bad. Having so much more to choose from. Well, the thing is, more isn't always better. Sometimes less is more. Ever heard of analysis paralysis? It happens when there's too much to choose from, so you end up not getting anything at all. You know how when you go to the supermarket because you need toothpaste, and you see all the different brands of toothpaste, and you settle down on one brand, but that brand within itself has all these other options like whitening, teeth protection ultimate, gum protection, but you kind of want all of them. Like, you don't want to give up on one of them to have the other, so you kind of just stay there for a second and you try to decide, and then you end up not buying any of them. Or even if you do end up buying one of them, at the back of your mind you're always like, well, now my gums aren't protected. Yeah, they're looking white and clean, but maybe I should have gotten the other one. And that's what option paralysis does. So now imagine you have so much more to choose from in a single platform. I mean, Netflix already has so much slop in itself, and now you get some extra content. You might just end up scrolling through it and just decide not to watch any of them. And honestly, even if you were interested in a certain show, like say The Wire, odds are you have responsibilities, exams, work, life stuff that you need to take care of. So most days you don't even have the time to sit down and binge watch. Plus, investing yourself in a new show can be exhausting. So you end up sitting down and just rewatching your favorite sitcom for the 11th time. But there's another reason why investing in a show can be dangerous with Netflix. And we'll get to that in a minute. All this extra content can never be for free. So what ultimately happens is we're getting new stuff, new content, so much more to choose from, but not really. But now we have to pay extra because there is so much more content to choose from, but not really. You see what I mean? And maybe they won't double the price not immediately, but unless you're planning on buying the ultra luxe, amazing, awesome package, Netflix.com package, get ready for ads, buddy. Lots of them. Oh, and by the way, don't expect to be able to stream on all of your devices. And I'm not even talking about one device at a time situation. I'm talking about one device forever. Look, they paid $82 billion. You think they're just gonna let you use both your laptop and your iPad to stream Netflix? Nope. So you'll probably have to consider getting extensions, what they might call it. Buy packages that say, well, extend my Netflix membership to my iPad or to my smart TV. Or you can get the triple awesome fun package for $69.99. Now, I know all this sounded like the very, very bad already. And you're probably thinking, oh boy, it can't get any worse than this, can it? He probably just forgot to say the very, very bad and just started talking about it. Nope, I didn't. I'm saying it now. Finally, the very, very bad. Netflix is kind of on its way of becoming a monopoly, which basically means the only streaming service to exist. I checked this Netflix to acquire Warner Bros. Investor event meeting, which is some weird millionaires meetup with finance and legal people involved, where they discuss logistics and other concerns. It's like Succession without the drama. You can check it out yourself. I'll leave a link in the description. And there, Ted Sarandos, CEO of Netflix, said the following: "Together, we can give audiences around the world even more value and choice and get one step closer to being the most loved and the most valued entertainment company." And if you know corporate talk, you know that almost all of it is BS and usually very political. So most loved and most valued entertainment company here means the only entertainment company to ever exist anymore. In other words, a monopoly. And if that happens, Netflix could hypothetically say, hey, membership is now $99, the most basic one, by the way. And they could argue that you don't have to go to the theaters anymore. You get the full HD films, new, fresh, out of the studio, right at your home. And you get all the content in the world because we're the only ones left. And since it's all in one, you can afford it, right? I don't know, something like that. I'm not really a pricing expert, neither am I good in marketing. Also, I've been fired recently, so I'm not really good at this stuff. Remember when I said investing yourself in a show can be exhausting? Well, with Netflix, it's even worse. Netflix is known to make some very questionable decisions when it comes to content. Great shows that viewers have shown a liking into have been abruptly cancelled. Archive 81, DOA, Santa Clarita Diet, Black Summer 1899, and the one you've been waiting to hear, Mindhunter. Now, I haven't watched Mindhunter yet, and seeing how people are disappointed with it not getting a season 3, I probably never will, because I had a similar experience with Archive 81, where I was invested, and it felt creepy and atmospheric, and I really was enjoying it until bam, it didn't get a season 2, and a show like this takes time, you gotta build it up. You can't expect to have it blow up immediately. But what Netflix fails to understand, or rather ignores, is its viewers. And their focus is the stakeholders, the money, just like every other company, really. So even if a show is a hit, if they don't attract enough of an audience to justify the money they're spending, they won't commit to it and are willing to waste your, mine, everyone's time. And what this ends up creating is a sort of loop. Imagine there's a new show on Netflix. Because you've been disappointed before, because you started watching a show, you invested yourself in it, and it was cancelled, you don't want to be disappointed again, you don't click on it. There's other people out there that might seem more interested in it, or that haven't been disappointed yet, so they watch it. But because you didn't watch it, or I didn't, and a lot of other people maybe didn't, the show might end up just getting cancelled. And once again, it was only cancelled because there wasn't enough people to watch it, but we were already disappointed, so why would we give another chance to a new show only for it to be cancelled again? You see my point, and you understand the loop that's happening? So ultimately, they end up making all that other slop with very low budget, low effort, and prioritize quantity over quality. And they try to milk out as much as possible, and even if only few people watch it, it doesn't matter, does it? because they didn't really put that much money in it to begin with. Welcome to the loop of new shows, but only one season with no ending, no fulfillment, only disappointment, the Netflix special. But maybe it was this, maybe they knew they just couldn't bring creativity anymore or invest in some really awesome shows and movies and risk losing money, and would have rather just bought out a huge media company which already has so many great shows and movies. They can just use those for a bit and make more profit. And unless a new show becomes an immediate icon like Stranger Things did, I doubt they're going to invest in any other show that might have potential. Might have potential is just not enough for Netflix. They want results now, immediately, even before the show has aired. And last but not least, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, I leave it up for you to decide. Netflix, with this move, could maybe cease to exist if they fail this acquiring situation. The thing is, mergers like these have failed in the past. There's something about the AOL merger, but what could go wrong that would cause this sort of downfall? Well, for starters, HBO has a very unique and artistic approach to shows, and if Netflix absorbs that into its own sloppy ways of creating shows and then immediately canceling them, fans could revolt. Plus, they have to be really careful on how they want to integrate HBO into Netflix, since it could confuse many viewers. HBO's unique type of dark-ish content, whereas Netflix is more, colorful. If Netflix were Barbie, HBO could be the DC Universe, more serious, less color. Also, if they don't nail the pricing situation, people could literally just not subscribe. Remember the Disney situation where they tried to cancel Jimmy Kimmel? The backlash? Everyone was canceling their Disney Plus accounts, and within a week, they reinstated Jimmy Kimmel. That was one great example on how people can actually vote with their wallets. So with this Netflix thing, they could do it again. Also, this merger could become chaotic internally. This is a big deal. They're basically taking over a company with thousands of employees, physical studio operations, and so much more. If they stagger in one of those areas, any of them, if they do a misstep, miscalculation, it could result in production slowdown, creative talent deciding to work with other streaming services instead, and even cancellation of more shows. For instance, 2027, the new upcoming show of the Harry Potter reboot. I'm looking at you here. Harry, if you're listening, you might want to put on that invisibility cloak and just hide until, this storm kind of passes, because something far scarier and deadlier than Voldemort is coming. By the way, the night that I was writing this script, I actually got an email from Netflix. I don't know if they felt it, but they boosted up my subscription price €1. I don't know, it being only €1 just made me feel weird. It's like there's something suspicious about that. €1. It's like they're testing something and something far darker is coming up. I can feel it. Now, maybe I should have said this in the beginning of the video. I did fail economy like 3 times in university, so don't quote me on any of this, but still sounds scary to think about. So ultimately, Netflix is either gonna become a monopoly, which is always bad for us simple consumers who just want affordable stuff, man, or they fail to execute and end up having spent $80-something billion on a company that brings them basically nothing other than a few really great movies and TV shows, and all the creative talent decide to just work with other streaming services instead. They can't keep their prices high because people just wouldn't subscribe to them, and then Netflix just kind of fades away into the upside down. How poetic. And who knows, maybe I'm still failing at economy here. Maybe Netflix decides to become the best, most humane company in the world, doesn't fire anybody from the merger, raises everyone's salaries, drops this new technology called the Netflix Machine 9000, and it's this streaming device that has like 5 terabytes of storage, and it has all of the TV shows and movies that you kind of want to put in there, and you can watch it from anywhere offline, however long you want. It has like 200 hours of battery life, and when you want to kind of switch out the movies or TV shows, because 5 terabytes is not like infinite, you go to this Netflix station and you can just get it for free. Basically, it switches your TV shows and movies. And did I tell you that there's no subscription involved? It's a one-time purchase machine. You can share it with your friends, your family, and there are no ads involved. Wait, no. No, that kind of made it unbelievable, actually. The rest is possible, but because I said no ads, I don't think this machine will ever really exist, so There's probably a lot more we can talk about, and maybe in the future we will. Thank you so much for tuning in. Fax Machine 9000 out. Beep 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 boop beep.